Yes guys, I'm back with another one, and I'm going to be having a little look at BTC today, USDT dominance, BTC dominance, and just having a little overview of the market at the minute. We'll have a little scan of total 3. We'll go through a few of the major coins, BTC, Ethereum, Solana, and a few others. And let's just see where we're at in the market cycle at the minute. So yeah, let's get straight into it, guys. So at the minute, I'm just on USDT dominance. I'm on the daily. I've got these levels marked out. Let me just close that off for 1 minute. And we had, obviously we've got these major trend lines that I've had in. These are multiple yearly trend lines that we've got in, that I've played out. Let me just readjust that. That looks about right. So we had this multiple yearly trend line that I was pointing out a while ago. And, you know, I could see why everybody was getting very bullish at the time of it, because the trend line did break down. But as I pointed out in one of my previous videos, I was pointing out the structure of this area here and this area here. And the structure looked rather similar to what was going on here in this zone to what was going on here in this zone. See how we had the push, we had the push, we had the drop, and then we had the recovery, and the structure was looking very, very similar at this zone. So I did point out the next area of interest. I don't know if it was my last video or the video before that, but I did have these pointed out as areas of interest in USDT dominance. And we have tagged that area of interest, which I could see as tagging. And I do, if we just drop down into the daily, you know, I can possibly see BTC having a slight recovery and USDT dominance to do something along these lines. Possibly just go a little bit sideways, come back down into here, everybody will get bullish again, and then USDT dominance will spike again, possibly getting through this zone, sideways again, holding the zone into the next zone. And we're just playing it zone by zone at the minute. So yeah, you can take your longs, you can take your shorts, but you need to be in and out fairly quick in the USDT dominance. I don't really like to chart it like this, but there is, you know, there was a bearish fair value gap in there. So let me just change that to my fair value gaps, which we have tagged into. You know, you can utilize this as well. You see us coming up above that, then, you know, like I say, these areas are going to be areas of interest in USDT dominance. So let's drop into BTC dominance, see where we're at in that. So we've got BTC dominance here. I don't know what. I've been having a right play around with this. Let's just remove them a second. Into BTC dominance. I did have this area of interest. Again, we've tagged into it once again, where we did previously, and had a massive drop from that zone. We tag in that zone again. Going into the weekly, and you know, a lot of the time I get my zones from using the volume profile. It's not really like something that I'll use to take the trades in and out. I'll do that on normal charts, but what I will do is I will get the anchored volume profile. I'll go to the monthly. And all I'll do is I'll just take it from the top of the zone. So from here, I'll put that anchored volume profile in. And then we can see where a lot of the volume is. So then dropping down into the weekly with the anchored volume profile. So what we've got here is we've got this gap here. What we are actually tagging at the minute. And then we've got another major gap there, which aligns up perfectly. Where we did deviate below it, come back up, tested it, and off we went. And this is why, you know, like, if you look at this trend line here, we've not had that many touches on that trend line. But that trend line is up sloping on the BTC dominance. And that's what I like to use, the trend line. So we've also got another gap here, another major gap there. And if you look at the gaps, you don't see. What I'll do normally is I'll go into settings, I'll take off these, and then I'll mark out the gaps. So we've got a gap in there, and I'll mark that gap out right in there. That's a gap of interest on the weekly for me. And then you can see there's another little gap here. So I'll mark that out as well. That's a gap of interest. You know, don't get me wrong. Some indicators can mark out certain things for you. But I'd rather do it manually. Just for the simple fact that I know that them levels then are where I'm marking out the significant levels of interest. So if you have a look how the gaps get created. And then we've got another one here. A major gap in there. So I'll mark out these gaps. You know, we've got a point of control there. But I'm not going to use this as my major confluence. I'm going to try and chart it in a different way. I'm using these gaps in here to see where price could potentially drop down into or hold above. And if you're just going down in your charts and just mark these gaps out, these are low volume areas. But I mainly use it with BTC, these gaps. So these are low volume areas. So we've got another gap down there. Take that off. So these are areas of interest that I'm marking out now. And then what I'll do is I'll go back into settings and then I'll put the candles back on. And then you can just go and have a little look at these gaps. And these gaps, look at the gaps. These gaps are absolutely perfect with watching the way price action moves in through these gaps. You know, you've got another little gap in there. Same again. We've got the gap. We mark out the gap. And look how it tags these gaps and moves off. Another gap here. Tag. And that's all you're going to be doing. You're not going to use them as your major confluence in these trading zones. But if you have a little look at the breakdown, the original breakdown in that gap, look at the breakdown in the gap. It came back down and tagged this area here. And you had another tiny gap in there. You had another tiny gap in there. And that's all you're going to use them as. And they work out absolutely perfect. So there's a possibility, there's a gap there. We may see, where's my drawing tool? BTC dominance do something like this. When it does something like that, everybody's going to be like, alt season, straight away, I can guarantee you everybody's going to be like, alt season. What they're failing to look at is there's a gap there of low volume. So it's retracing back into the high volume area. And like I say, I'm not using it as my major confluence, but I'm using it as areas of interest of where I can mark out where potentially BTC dominance could come back to. So if we get that back up again, so this is another potential area here. If we lose this zone here, then there's another gap here. There's another gap there, and we could potentially come down into these zones and start to fill them out. And we will have a little mini alt season if we do something like that. But with what I'm looking at the minute, you know, we've got this water zone that I was saying, around 67 to 70%, that I want to see us fill before we can have a run. And it could be another few years before we do have that run. But, you know, using these gaps really do help you out in your trading. Same with USDT dominance. I do the same with USDT dominance. It just helps me mark out these zones. So what we could have at the minute in USDT dominance is, you know, we could go sideways in here, drop back into here, and then start to push off again, break above that, into that zone there, sideways, into the next zone. And like I say, we're just going to play it as best we can play it. But this zone here, where we were in USDT dominance, and I understand why people took the shorts, the longs, I understand that there. I do, because it's a multiple yearly trend line that we was in, and we did start to close below it. What there was failing to see is that when it had started to close below it, we kept getting bought back up really fast. So like I said in another video, I did say if this was a coin that you could trade, I would have been going long on this coin. And you've seen how it played out. I'm not like all these other sausages that are just going to give you hopium. I'm going to be like, oh, alt season. Now, I'll tell you. If it's going to be alt season, I will tell you. But looking at the move that we had from USDT dominance in say around May 23, September 23, that's a 50% decline in USDT dominance, and everybody missed it. So you add your alt season in here, and for some reason that's not enough for everyone, and I don't understand why. But that drop there was a major 50% drop. I don't think we had a 50% drop there, and every time alt season we have around a 50% drop every single time. We had a little bit more there. We had a 60% drop, 50% drop. Same again here. 40% drop. In these drops, there was your alt season. And everybody failed to see that. And everybody's like, worst bull run ever. It's the worst bull run ever because you've bought alts down here. Failing to see that this area, yes, we have the trend line, but this area here in USDT dominance is a major support area. Nobody was seeing that. So we've had the run. And I'm not saying we can't have another mini run, because we could potentially have another mini run. But what I am saying is, you need to be careful. We could come up to this trend line here and then start to break down again. You want to be buying your alts around here. You know, and you're going to have... Personally, I've lost interest in alts. All I'm doing is I'm buying BTC. And that's the truth. All I'm doing is buying BTC. Alts are shit. You know, and if we get this push up, that's 20% up from where we are at the minute. Alts and BTC will drop hard. So this is how you want to look at the USDT dominance. Stop listening to all the sausages on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now, on YouTube, giving you all this hopium. And then next thing you know, you're holding a bag of dicks. You know, they're not bothered. They've shilled all these coins onto you. They've cashed their coins out. They've cashed their coins out down here. And they're still shouting alt season to make you think, oh, it's alt season. It's alt season. You need to wake up and you need to learn how to do the charts properly and stop listening to these sausages. So let's go into BTC now. Let's have a little look at BTC. So look at BTC right now. Look at it. I've got major zones in these areas in BTC. Major zones that I've marked out due to obviously the volume profile. So what I'll do is I will rechart the volume profile for you. Let me have a look. Anchored volume profile. No, I need that one on. Where's the other one? That one. Right, okay. So we've got the anchored volume profile here. That's that one. So I'll put two on. I've put one at the bottom. I've got an anchored volume profile at the bottom, and I've got an anchored volume profile up at the top. I'll go into the weekly, and I'll see where's my major areas of interest. So let me just close a lot of these zones out, and I'll remark it all. So you can see how I'm looking at it. Okay? So I tell you what, that weekly candle's horrible. I did say though in my other video that these closes, these weekly closes here, here and here was not looking good. And you still had all your sausages on X going, it's alt season, BTC's going to 125k. We know how all that played out before, don't we? You know when all these guys were shouting here, BTC 100k. You know when they were all shouting it there, and everybody started to long BTC here, and then it dropped, and it's got a history of dropping BTC. You know, 55% correction in the bear market, a 77% correction. I bet Sailor and all these countries that are buying BTC are absolutely screwing now. They're screwing because they've all bought BTC up here and they're already down. I don't know what his average cost was, so just say 104. You're only down 15%, and it's got a history of corrections of what? 50%? So say from the top we're 20% down. A 55% correction is down here. I'm not saying we're going down there, but what I am saying is there's some very similar patterns emerging in BTC right now. Very, very similar patterns. You've got another guy saying the banana zone's coming. 1 minute. Let's have a look at that price action there. So we had that move up. We had that move up. We had that move down. We had another move up. Rather similar. What's playing out from there to there again. It is rather similar. So, you know, have we had the banana zone? Because even if we're just playing out... So forget about that scenario there. Forget about that one. And we just play out that one there. The banana zone, as they would say. Say we've got this move here is this move here in BTC. I will chart it after. So this move here in BTC is 350, around 350. This move here in BTC is around 190. We have a small correction. 32%. We have a small correction, around 34%. And then we do another push from there, from that correction, 125-ish%. Yeah. From the drop, 125-ish%. So if that's the banana zone, this here is the banana zone. That's the start of the banana zone. That's the start of the banana zone. Correction, correction, continuation. Continuation. Drop. 55%-ish. And this could fall hard. 55%-ish. And then a push of around 138%-ish. So from 55 drop round here, a push of 138%-ish. Takes us to around 118. Just looking at previous charts. So, you know, I'm going with the best case scenario. I'm going with the push, the drop, the push, the drop, the push, the push, the drop, the drop, relief rally, the drop. So we get the relief rally up to around 118k-ish. From here, a lot of people are going to get out of market down here, I can guarantee you that. So to around here, say around 118k-ish. And then we have a 75% correction from the 118k-ish. Brings us back into my original zone. What we're looking at in BTC down here. And I know people were like, yeah, it's different this time. And yet what? It was different this time. Because all the big players are in BTC now. You know, there are a lot of traders. You got your ETFs, you got all this crap. But I did say last year as well, I think the ETFs are a bad idea. Just in my opinion, I thought they were a bad idea. And, you know, we can all see how that's playing out now. You know, we literally, the people had something that the government didn't have. And then the people gave the government the thing that the government didn't have, which was the only thing that we've really got. I'm not going to get into politics, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, we can't change that. The government's there for a reason. We vote them in. But my overall view of it was we should not be giving the government something that was given to us by somebody that didn't want the government to have it, and now the government have it. So it's just, you know, it's the old saying, the people are retarded. That's playing out for you right now in front of your own eyes. So yeah, congratulations to everyone who wanted the ETFs. You've done a great job. Anyways, let's get back to charting this. So BTC at the minute, we've got major zones in BTC right now. Down in here, we've got no volume. We've got an area of interest at around 90k. So what I'll do is, I've got the gap here. I'll fill the gap. I'll bring it over and have a little look. We've lost that gap on the weekly. We've got another gap here. Another major area of interest here. Look at this here. $34 XR. Yeah. Go away. So we've got another gap there. We've got another gap in here. And then we've got another gap here. I just mark out the whole gap because it's, you know, individually marking it out on the weekly. We've got another gap in here, and you can just see how it reacts in these gaps. These gaps are absolutely beautiful. I love marking out charts just using gaps, because these generally get tagged and dropped, tagged and dropped, tagged and dropped. Gap. And this is another reason why I love volume profile, because these gaps are where there's no volume at all, where nobody's interested in trading this coin. And what you'll generally see when they get into them zones, they move rather quickly out of them zones. We've got another major gap there. Major gap of interest. Another major gap there. And like I say, a lot of the time I'll just take the candles off and mark out the gaps. Another gap here. You see how there's no volume there, and when we've come up and tagged into it, it's dipped. Come and tag this point of control, because these little areas that point out, these little spiky areas here, they're point of controls. So then I'll save that, and then what I'll do is I'll wait for these areas now. There's a weekly fair value gap here also that we've just tagged into. How much of it that we're going to fill is anybody's guess. We also have another weekly fair value gap here, which does align up, and I did point this out previously. These gaps are aligning up, and I'm not saying BTC is just going to do, you know, it's not just going to go like that. It's not. It's going to be a slow grind, possibly coming back up into this zone here. Another slow grind, back into this zone here. Another slow grind, and it's going to be a slow grind down. So I'll be looking to possibly take a short in BTC between the area of 93 and 92. I'm not taking a BTC short now. Not a chance. That would just be moronic to take that BTC short there. Just wait. We'll sit and we'll wait. So I'm just showing you how I'm marking out these charts. You know, on the daily, you'll see certain consolidations that you can mark out as well. So, you know, dropping into the daily, we've got these zones marked out now. And you can see how we had a previous consolidation here. You know, and that's why I'm saying we could potentially be coming back up into here, tagging these zones here before we do start to push off. Because that's point of control there at around 96. Consolidation and drop. We've got another area here. This is a consolidation. Literally where we are now. We're in that consolidation zone. And then the next consolidation zone that I can see is this major zone down here. This is just the anchored VWAP. You can see how we've got up to the top deviation there. We played around with it a little bit, dropped below, small little candle, tagged it, and then we drop. You know, over that Sunday, you know, and we've dropped 10% since then. So I've got areas of interest I'll be looking at in BTC to take a short. Sol, before we do Sol, let's do total 3 right quick. Let's have a little look at total 3. You know, same with total 3. I'm using these areas here to mark out zones of interest with this. I'm not using the volume profile just to be like, oh, you know, basically it's like a volume indicator at the bottom, but it's on the side of your screen, and it shows you the gaps in volume. And at the minute, this was the zone that we're looking at that we were going to tag, and we've tagged that zone. And then what I'll do is I'll go onto the weekly, and I can see these major areas of interest. So we've got zones here, we've got zones here, we've got zones here, here, here. These are your areas of interest. We've got a consolidation zone here, a major consolidation zone. We could even come down into here and tag this zone, and everybody's going to be absolutely pooping the pants. But, like I did point out previously, and I keep saying it, that, if that was a normal chart, what is that? That there is a top and a double top. A double top. Charts don't lie. And I pointed it out to everybody. But all the other YouTube channels and Twitters were like, you know, oh, this is just a correction, blah, 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 blah. And look at how it's played out. It's, you know, it's not looking too good at the minute, if I'm being honest with you. You know, and they're like, oh, resistance is turning into a support. But they're not actually looking at that there was a double top scenario in total 3. Sol, let's have a little look at Sol. Sol is getting absolutely battered. Battered is Sol at the minute, and it is literally shitting a brick. And in effect, we had another scenario here in Sol. Top, drop. You know, and everybody were like, oh, buy Sol here, buy Sol here, buy Sol here. You know, it's not looking rather good at the minute, Sol. And we could potentially be coming back down into these zones here in Sol. Sol had its major run because of all the meme coins that were absolutely killing the market. So go into Sol, get your volume profile up, mark out your zones of interest. Next important zone of interest in Sol is, I'll mark it out for you right now, this volume gap here in Sol, which is lining up with a previous consolidation area. You know, they line up perfectly, these consolidation areas and these gaps, which is between the area of 114 and around 125-ish. And then after that, we've got another area of interest here in Sol. I'll just mark out the whole zone for now. Just look at that. It lines up with the bottom area of the consolidation area, which is between 75 and 90. They're the zones I'm looking at in Sol for potential longing opportunities, but I'm probably not going to hold them for that long, if I'm being honest with you, due to the fact that if you look at Sol from its high, which is 295, it's already dipped 55% from January to mid-February, which is, you know, around 4 weeks. It's already lost 50%. I know in BTC, just going on to this here, we've got some big buys in BTC, which is, one's being tagged at the minute, 87.5, where we had around, I think it was 300 or something BTC sat in there. We've got another major area of 85.5, where we've got 384 BTC waiting to get bought. 85 dot on 183 BTC. These are limit orders. 82,500 465 BTC, 80, 169 BTC, and at 78 we have 1,000 BTC order, buy limit order at 78, 77 372. And if you have a little look down in these zones, there's a lot of people interested in BTC at the lower zones. So keep them in mind. I'm just trying to drop down to see if there's anything down at the lows here. And them orders could get pulled. You know, I'm not saying they're going to move the price instantly, but them orders could get pulled if the big players, whoever's put them orders, sat in there. If they're thinking, this might be over, let's wait for a lower price to then reposition our orders again. So there ain't a lot on the way down. There's just them major zones of interest in BTC at the minute. I'm going to get off in a minute. I need a coffee and I need to go for a quick jog. So I'm going to tell you these areas again in BTC to keep an eye on. And like I say, these areas could get, you know, these buys could get pulled in BTC. I'm not saying they're going to stay there forever, because, you know, that they might not. They might just pull the orders if they think it's going. So 78k is the biggest order I can see in BTC at the minute of around 1k orders. 1,000 BTC getting bought at 78k. Keep that in your mind. And like I say, on the way up, these are a few more orders on your way up. You know, we've got 466 at 82,500. 189 at 85. 85.5, 385. So like I say, a lot of these orders could get pulled. But at the minute, as you can see, we've got sell orders coming in here. We've got buy orders coming in here. So they're going to be interacting all day. Having a little look where the actual decline started. I'm going to see if there's any unfilled orders. So there, you've got an unfilled order at 98,500 in BTC. 99.5, 99.7 unfilled. You know, and this is where manipulation is going to come into play. They may potentially try and push it back up to fill them orders. Just having a look up above us, see if we've got 315 at 114. And that's about it, all I can see at the minute. So, like I say, there isn't a lot of limit sells. The difference is, you know, with these limit sells, they'll get filled when they do come back up into these areas. But the actual aggressive market participants, they will, you know, like here at 96.2, there's a major sell order, unfilled order at 524. You know, 524 sell limit at around 962. So we're going to get a lot of interaction in BTC, as you can see here at the minute. Lots of sells, lots of buys. So it's probably going to go mental for a while. But, you know, the area that I've pointed out for you on the charts in BTC. Let me just go back into BTC. I'll just give you a quick recap of that area. Just drop into the daily a minute. Around 96.2 is that consolidation area. So BTC might not even come back into it. I'm not saying it is going to come back into it, But what I am saying is, you've got that's an anchored VWAP, and that's the deviation. So a lot of people might get bullish when it starts to come back up into here like this. But I'll be seeing the anchored VWAP doing that. So if BTC does decide to come back up into here, it might not even come back into that zone to fill them orders. It might only get to around here before it takes that major dip down into them zones. So they're your zones to watch out for in BTC. Don't forget links, CWP. I've got a buy me a coffee link. You know, hit me up on that. Buy me a coffee. We've got Slim's bots. We've got James's Baccarat indicators. All links are going to be in the description. There's going to be a link to a trading platform that I use, Blowfin. You can use my referral code. I think you get something like 50% off trading fees when you use my referral code. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. Happy trading.